Okay, let's do this. Welcome to my first YouTube video. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I just haven't. And primarily because I've been scared to start this, you know, because from the personal perspective, I guess I'm just jumping right into it. From like a personal insecurity perspective, I'm like, why would anybody want to listen to me or take the time out to watch my videos? Watch me live my life. My life isn't even that exciting. Like, why would I do this, and why would somebody want to watch it, you know? But I've been enjoying making videos. I've been enjoying recording content and editing and the whole process behind it, all of it. So I decided, why not start it now? Kind of like I'm doing this for me. Also, I'm going to be going to Florida in a couple weeks, and that's super exciting to me. And I want to record, and I want to make videos, and I want to remember that stuff. You know, like last year I competed for my first show ever, and I barely have any videos from it to remember that. You know, I barely have any content to remember that time. So I wish I would have. I guess I just got to a point where I'm like, fuck it, let's just start it, you know? So yeah, welcome to my YouTube. I hit leg day a couple days ago, and that was the first like YouTube type video I recorded at the gym, because usually when I record at the gym, the camera is like this way so that I can record for Instagram. But this was the first video I recorded this way for YouTube. So I had to do all my own angles, and I used a tripod and all that stuff. So it's not like the greatest video, but I'm gonna voice over it, take you through a typical leg day for me, explain some things, why I do certain things, and hopefully you get something out of it. And then after that, I'm gonna talk about like why I started this YouTube channel and just a little bit more about me. So here is leg day. So I start this leg day out the same way I start out every leg day, which is with a variation of hamstring curls. I'll either start with lying or seated hamstring curls. Today I just chose lying. Because it warms up the knee and hip joint, and it kind of lubricates all of that, but also it activates your hamstrings for the rest of the leg day. So that way, you know, in most of your movements, you can still feel your hamstrings, especially because after this I do RDLs. So I want my hamstrings fired up and warmed up. But also because John Meadows said so, and John Meadows is the king. So John Meadows said he starts every leg day with hamstring curls. You can see here that I'm stretching before the set, and I'll get into that in a second. What I want to show you real quick is before I start, I'm going to pause it right here. You can see that I lift up the pad before I actually start the rep, and that's because I want to fully engage my hamstrings before I actually start the curl. So now that they're fully engaged, then I'm going to get into this next set. And another thing that you'll see is if you look at my knees, they're coming off of the pad, and I'm smashing my hips into the pad. Go look at the leg day that Chris Bumstead just posted with Joe Bennett. He explains it way better than I can. But I swear I've been doing this for quite some time. I didn't steal it from him, but he explains it way better than I can. But smash the hips into the pad and let the knees come up at the end of the rep, and you will feel your hamstrings contract 10 times more. But you can see that I'm stretching again here after this set. And I'm not just stretching, but I'm also like flexing it. And I'm just doing anything that I can to feel the hamstrings so I can really establish the best mind to muscle connection with my hamstrings, because I need to grow my hamstrings. But it's a good way to start the leg day, and it's a good way to start before now I'm getting into RDLs as the second exercise. And with the leg day precursor to that, and fully activating and flaring up and getting all the blood into the hamstrings that I can, now I'm set up really well for the RDL. So one thing you'll notice, this is my first set, this is my warm-up set. One thing you'll notice at the beginning of this clip was I kind of went down halfway, and then I adjusted my feet as I went down. That's because throughout every rep, you'll see this multiple times, but every rep, I'm trying to make sure that I'm fully feeling it in my hamstrings and in my glutes. Because if I don't want to just go through the motion. I want to actually know that I'm working the muscle. So my hips are coming back. My hamstrings are getting fully stretched out. And I like to have a slight bend in my knee when I do RDL, because my legs hyperextend. So I don't know why, that's just anatomically, I guess, how I was built. But I like to have a slight bend in my knee because I feel like that puts more pressure on the glutes. Oh, real quick, I just thought my legs looked really cool here. I'm scanning the room to see if there's any dogs that I haven't pet yet, because dogs come in our gym all the time. My legs about to look pretty cool here too. I swear I can lift 300, 400 pounds off the ground, but carrying a 45-pound plate, I look like I'm I look like a child trying to carry, a gallon of milk. But I feel like that puts a little bit more pressure on the glutes, and I can keep the weight in the heels while still being balanced. But I can do like the most minuscule of pushing, of like pressing through this through the RDL. So here you can see my hamstrings are being fully stretched out at the bottom of the rep. I'm going a little too fast on this set, but it was just a warm up, and I don't know, maybe I was just trying to get through it. But that's Kenny right there in the background in the white. That's my posing coach. He's my friend. But here we go. This is one of my top sets for 315. Another thing that you can see is at the top of my reps, I'm squeezing the hell out of my ass cheeks because I need to grow some glutes. I need to get a big old dump truck. I don't have that, and that showed a lot in my first competition. So I keep a slight bend in my knee again because I just feel like I can put more pressure. I can put more tension on my glutes that way. Oh, I thought I looked really cool right here too. I thought that was kind of a cool shot, so I kept that in. This shot has nothing more than just to show that I was wearing broccoli socks. Broccoli socks rock, and they give you special powers. But again, you can see right there, if you missed it, rewind for a second. I fixed my foot position like at the bottom of the rep because I was feeling it more on my right side than it was on my left side. So I had to switch my foot position even just slightly to make sure that I was feeling it equally in both hamstrings and glutes. So I wasn't just going through reps and going through the motions. And look at my calves. That's pretty cool. I'm probably going to get some shit for that, but whatever. Next up, we went into hack squats. I'm getting ready, I'm feeling my pump in the hamstrings, and I'm checking right now to see if my foot placement is completely even on both feet. It's another cool shot of the broccoli socks. But you can see when I'm going down, I'm not slamming this weight into the bottom of the hack squat. That's what I see. Honestly, I see a lot of people doing it. And it's okay. Sometimes you need to do that because you're pushing 6 plates or whatever. I see a lot of women in my gym pushing 6 plates on this hack squat, and it's wildly impressive to me. But for me, I like to go down to just before it touches the bottom, and that's where I like to push up. So I keep all the tension that I possibly can in my quads and just all in my legs. So here's another angle of the hack squat, and you'll see that I don't slam the weight at the bottom. Can I do more weight than this? Yes, I've done 6 plates for like 12 reps or whatever. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, and they're clean reps and everything, but I wanted to go back down to 5 plates so that I can make sure that I'm going down, keeping all the tension on my quads that I can, and pressing back up with just my legs. A lot of times I'll try pressing up, if this makes sense. I'll try pressing up with my body rather than my actual legs. I'm not pressing into the pad. I don't know how to explain it, but maybe you understand. But I'm just keeping all the weight and the tension and pressure in my legs, in my feet, pushing my feet into the pad so that my legs are taking the full brunt of this weight. So I'm about to put the sound back onto the original video because I really like the sound of the weights clanging. So I was doing a drop set here, um, and I go all the way back down to 2 plates on each side. This is where you're going to see me adjust my feet. Right there, I adjust my feet and I adjust my knees to make sure that I'm locked in place. Once I'm locked in place, then I start feeling okay to hammer out these reps and start pumping it out. I'm not locking out at the top, and I'm not slamming at the bottom. I'm keeping constant tension in my quads the entire time, and this burned like a mofo. So I think I hit like 12 reps there or something on my drop set. Next, we're going into walking lunges. I love barbell walking lunges. Like I would rather have an actual big barbell on my back so I could put a plate or a plate and a half on each side. That's a 110-pound barbell on my back, but there's not enough weight or there's not enough room in the gym for me to have a full barbell on this little alleyway, so I keep it to the smaller barbells. But even 110 pounds is killing me in this. Um, but again, I'm not slamming my knee into the ground here. I'm keeping the tension on the front foot, but also putting tension on the back foot because your quad is in a stretched position, especially with your hip flexors too, in a stretched position on the back. So barbell walking lunges, I promise you, you will not regret doing those. Next up, we have hamstring curls, seated hamstring curls inside of line at the beginning. There's Chris Knox. Dude is an absolute tank, going to turn pro this year. I move the weight kind of fast on the concentric portion of the movement, but then the eccentric portion of the movement, I'm going slow, I'm stretching it out, make sure I'm keeping the tension on the hamstrings, and again, I'm not going through the motions. I'm not trying to push crazy weight, and you can see I'm not pushing crazy weight. I think I only have 90 pounds on this right now, but it's actually killer because it's all in my hamstrings. Um, so I'm also, you can see right here, I'll pause it. You can see right there, uh, I'm pushing my lower back into the back pad because I don't want my lower back to come off and like I don't want to arch my lower back. So I'm pushing myself into the pad with my hands. Um, so that way I can keep my back nice and flat and pressed up against that pad. So that way, again, it's only hamstrings. Because if you start to arch your back, your hamstring stretches out or across the hip joint. Again, Joe Bennett can explain it better than I can, but you want to keep your back flat and press against the pad so that way it's only your hamstrings getting stretched and contracting the weight. So I finish here with some hamstring curls. What I don't show is that I also did some leg extensions. I finished with some partials because get all the blood in there that we possibly can. And I do a little bit of stretching again, just at the end. Now off to the stage to get some posing in. Always pose after your workouts. Helps with mind muscle connection and everything. I just felt good about this pump. But here's a funny interaction between me and Kenny, where he is asking me how much I weigh and telling me that I used to look small.
Yeah, no, you look better. You look pretty small when you came back compared to how you usually are. Not 105 pounds small, but you look 175, 170 right now. Yeah. 163, 164. You always look like you're 170. For your size too, dude.
So a little bit about me. I'm 28 years old. I live on Oahu in Hawaii right now because I'm stationed out here with the Marine Corps. I'm from Sacramento, California, and I've been bodybuilding for a couple years now, or at least like working out to compete, not necessarily bodybuilding, but working out to compete for the last few years. And then last year I competed in my first show in the Ikaika Classic here on island. And it was the best. It was like the coolest experience ever. It gave me so much adrenaline and so much happiness, and I loved it so much that I decided, I'm like, I have to do this. Like, I got to take this as far as I possibly can. You know, so I have no plans on stopping, and I'm going to be competing next year. Hopefully, if all goes as planned, I'll be competing next year around this time next year in the Stingray here on island as well. I qualified for nationals at the Ikaika, but I got second, so I'm like, I obviously need to grow, and I'm not going to go to nationals off of a loss. You know, just because I qualified doesn't mean I earned it. I want to win the overall before I go to nationals and take it to the next level. So that's my goal, is to compete next year at the Stingray, take the overall in classic physique, and then go to nationals shortly thereafter, and hopefully get my pro card. But I've been training, like working out, for about 12 years now. I started when I was like 16, and I've learned so much along the way for the last over a decade of training. I've learned a ton. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this channel, is because I feel like I have a lot of knowledge that I've gained over the last decade of training that not a lot of people have had access to. You know, I've been watching YouTube for a decade. I keep saying that, but like I've been watching people on YouTube for years and years and years. John Meadows, it started with like Callum Von Moger. Been watching Chris Bumstead the last few years, like heavily. There's all these guys who have just so much knowledge that they've been sharing with me, you know, us, but me. And I want to be able to pass that on to the next person who maybe doesn't watch their videos, but will watch mine, you know. But also, I want to show who I am, you know. Instagram is cool, and I've been having fun making content for that, making cool workout videos and meal ideas or reels, whatever. But it doesn't really show me or who I am. And it feels weird to say this, but I really like who I am. You know, I think I'm a really cool dude. I think I'm a really good guy. And I just want to like share that with people, you know? I want to let the world know me. And like, I feel like honestly, I just feel like the fitness industry is just so filled with fake people. You know, people who will set their camera up and then run over and pretend like they have no idea the camera's working. You know, like there's this one clip, it like cringes me so hard. This chick is recording her and her boyfriend, and she's like, wow, you're really strong because you're doing like 80-pound dumbbells, which is a good weight. And he was like, oh, I'm not that strong, like other guys lift way more than me. She goes, well, did you know that comparison is the thief of joy? If you compare it, and she goes into this like weird inspirational rant, and he's like, oh, that's really good, thanks. I'm glad you told me that. And like I watched that video and I'm like, dude, it's like so cringy. Like it's cool, it's a great message and like good for them. But I'm like, you knew the camera was set. Like why are you acting like, oh, we happen to get this on video? I don't know. I just feel like that is like one example. And then I just feel like there's so many fake people or people that are just like not relatable, you know? And I don't know, I just kind of want to change that. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty genuine person and hopefully I show that through these videos. But I just want people to be able to relate, you know? Because I'm definitely not perfect in any way. I go through a lot of shit. And I do a lot of dumb shit. And I think a lot of dumb shit. And, you know, I feel like it's a strong thing when you realize like, oh, I'm not the only one who thinks that. Like, that's cool, you know? I guess that brings me to like another goal that I have is just sharing me, but also sharing vulnerable information, you know, and vulnerable pieces about me. Not in a way to get attention or to get pity, but in a way to just be like, hey, if you're struggling with this, like, you're not the only one. You know, but also not doing it in a doctored way where it's like, hey, like, I'm really struggling right now, but I know that I'm gonna push through and I'm gonna, you know, and you're just like, okay, well, cool, you're not really being genuine, or you're not being vulnerable. You're kind of just being motivational or inspirational, whatever, you know? I don't know, I want to share my struggles and I want to share all that shit. So maybe you guys can feel like, you know, you're not the only one. Or maybe even so I can feel like I'm not the only one, you know? I'll talk more about that obviously in other videos because it's a big part of me is introspection and self-awareness, you know, learning who I am and learning more about myself, you know, searching within myself. It's like a big part of me. So I'm sure I'll share more about all of that later, but like how many influencers or how many people on YouTube or how many people on Instagram do you follow that are like going to therapy, you know, and trying to work on themselves? And I'm not like saying all that, you know, so that it's like, I just want you guys to know I'm having a hard time. Like on one end, I'm like, yeah, I want you guys to know that I'm struggling and maybe, you know, help you guys feel safe to struggle as well. Not feel like your life has to be perfect, you know, create that relatable environment. But anyways, I don't know if you guys have realized this even just in this video, but I like to just ramble. I'm not gonna like staying on topic, you know, I kind of just talk. Irregardless, I intend on making, you know, more videos, having fun with this, and just kind of seeing what kind of content I can come up with without like forcing it, but just sharing it, you know. I invite you guys into the journey. I invite you guys into my life. If you think this has potential to be something that you could look forward to, if that makes sense, then you know, subscribe and like, smash the like button. But it's raining outside, so I probably shouldn't be doing this while I'm driving. Follow my Instagram. It's at jfrancofit. All right, I'll see you guys next time.